Eagles get spanked against Dallas by 2 scores after the Niners exposed them. So let's ask ourselves, what did the Niners expose? The Niners really extra exposed that Eagles passing defense. And they found a way to run against them too. And you want to know what's crazy about that is the Niners' offensive line, mainly the interior, is not a very good offensive line. They don't have a good win rate. So for the Niners to run the ball and create some holes, and it seems like you could run to the outside. You want to try and get to the outside against this Eagles defense. It seems like you get to the outside. The running backs can find some room. These corners have not been really good at tackling. They have not really been good in general. Safeties have been, the passing defense in general has not been good. But if you get, maybe some of the outside zone running going, and Dallas has, Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level. He has CD, Gallup. All these guys, all these players, all these receivers are making huge plays. Dallas' defense didn't look good last week. So that's a little concerning because the Seahawks have not been a good team this year, offensively, really. So I'm interested to see how that defense is going to bounce back. But the Dallas Cowboys have been a much better football team at home, and they almost did beat the Eagles in their house in Lincoln Financial Stadium. It was close. It was like a 4-yard game. Because CD caught it, and he was really close to scoring. It was like 4, 5, 6 yards out. 6 yards out from winning the game. Because I believe it was just a field goal, if I'm not mistaken. So that game was that close. What did the Niners really expose, may you ask? Because I didn't really answer clearly. I don't think they really exposed much. A lot of teams know what they can do against this Eagles defense. It's just a matter of fact if do they have the talent to do so? A lot of teams have come into Eagles games with the right game plan, but a lot of them just can't do it because they don't have the talent. They don't have the personnel. Dallas has the personnel. San Fran has the personnel. The Bills have the personnel. If you have a couple of really good receivers, if you have an offensive line that can just hold off a pass rush, and a quarterback that can get that ball out quick, you can beat the Eagles. Now, not all those things are easy to acquire. Not a lot of teams have all those. But that is why it takes some of the best teams in the NFL. Some of the better teams beat the Eagles. Now, let's not forget, the Eagles have beat some very good football teams. They beat the Dolphins. Then they allowed the Dolphins at 10 points. Offense line's really good, but they have some weapons. Tua's been good. Tua's been very good this season. He's in the MVP conversation for a reason. He has been here and there. They beat the Bills, which was a close game. Very fortunate to win that game, down 10 points, and down 10 points to the Chiefs, too. I think they're very fortunate to win both games. A lot of things didn't go their way. A lot of things did go their way. There was that miscommunication with Gabe Davis and Josh Allen. That would have been the game. Would have, could have, showed have. You move on. Mistakes are a part of the game. And that's the difference. When you have two really, even though the Bills are 6-6, they're much better than the record says they are. And I know the old adage, the old saying, you are what your record says you are. Sure, for the most part, but sometimes you could dig into more of what the team has done under the surface. You guys have heard of the Gilded Age, right? Everything looks great in the surface, but once you dig into it, it's not as good as it looks. Like look at the Steelers; they're 11-0 season. They're 11-0 season a couple years ago. They didn't even play any strong football teams. They were winning games. They were barely winning games. They're 11-0. It caught up with them. So a record only means so much. A record does mean a lot. They're finding ways to win games. Yeah. But the Eagles haven't really been dominant this season. And if you go to PFF and you look at, the team grades and and the Niners, every single game the Niners have won, they have dominated it. If the game is close, the Niners lose. That's typically what it's been. Now, the Cowboys, they've had a lot of dominating grades. Now, the Eagles, they haven't dominated their opponent. They have one dominating grade. One grade over 80. And that's against the Minnesota Vikings back in week 2 when half of the offensive line was out. Their defense was still pretty buttons. They didn't really have that going much yet. Is it really that much better now? No, I don't think so. It's all right. It got a little better. But the Eagles getting spanked against Dallas by 2 scores, I'm going to say that's hot. like I was talking about earlier, if you have a quarterback that can get the ball out quickly and accurately, if you have an offensive line that can just hold off a pass rush, and you have, what else was I going to say? And receivers that can get open, you could beat the Eagles. You could put up a lot of points against that defense. Look what the Commanders did. Their offensive line was horrible, but they had really good weapons. And a quarterback that was getting the ball out quick, accurately, and was smart with the football in Sam Howell. So now that you're playing Dak Prescott, last week you played Brock Purdy, some really good receivers, and on top of that, a really good scheming job. That's what's kind of going to happen. On top of that, the Niners have a really stifling defense. They have a really good defense. Now the Cowboys, they're a much better football team at home than they are away. So the Eagles are going to face a different Dallas team. And it's difficult to beat a team 2 times in one season. It doesn't matter who the team is. Very difficult to sweep an opponent. And especially when they're as talented as Dallas, it's difficult. It's been done. But it's very difficult to do. But Dallas beating the Eagles by 2 scores, I'm going to go hot. I'm going to say it's very unlikely. I'm not going to say if it's piping hot, because the Cowboys can put up a lot of points. And Micah Parsons, that defensive line can get after Hurts, give Hurts some fits, and maybe have him throw a couple errant passes, fumble once or twice, maybe throw a pick or 2. And I think the Cowboys will win this one. But I don't think they win by 2 scores. I think it's going to be a close game. If they win by more than 2 scores, then the Eagles are definitely going to have something to worry about. Because when they're going to go ahead and play these teams in the playoffs, these much better football teams in the playoffs, right? They are going to have to, put games away. They can't be going down 10 points against really good football teams. It's going to catch up with you. And it did versus the Niners. The offense is very boring. It's very predictable in some ways. The screen passes just aren't working. It's just, they're not going to be beat by 2 scores. It's going to be a close game, but I do think Dallas will win. But I'm going to go hot.